Gabe, you need to go out there and reach out to Mr. Merchant. We'll give you a few seconds to do that. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the next round on the Leave It in the Ring Radio Network. It is Gabe Montoya and yours truly, Steve Kim. We'll be here for at least another 75 minutes, but I get the sense a lot of you want to weigh in on this fight. Kovalev Ward, how did you see the fight? Did they get the decision right? And also, do you want to see a rematch? And you can also send us a tweet at SteveUCN Live and at Gabriel_Montoya. Also, later on in the program, we're going to preview the HBO card from the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. Your main event will be Lomachenko against Nicholas Walters, and we have other news and notes. Gabe, is Mr. Merchant on the line?
Yes, he is.
Larry, good Monday to you.
On the line, Steve.
Larry, the stage is yours. You were there. You made the investment in time and energy to go out to this fight. How did you see the fight? Your thoughts on the decision?
Well, given the expectations that everyone always has on their own prism through which they see a fight, I think the fight was about as expected. It was intense and dramatic, particularly because of the second-round knockdown by Kovalev, and then with Ward doing better in the second half of the fight. In my view, and I think in the view of many or most of the experienced observers, Ward did well to get up and regroup and come back, but that he didn't do enough to win the fight. I thought Kovalev clearly won the fight. I thought in the end what we had was a classic hometown decision.
Larry, you had a great line when we were talking on the phone yesterday. You said this was basically Ocean's 11, where the robbery happened inside the ring and not the casino. My partner, Gabe Montoya, is labeling this a robbery. You don't think that's too strong of a word?
Nope. Another way for me to put it was that the popular vote at ringside, at least, went to Kovalev, but the political vote went to Ward.
That's funny that you say that. That's what I break down last week. I said Ward could win this two ways. You could try to go for the popular vote and be aggressive, or you could do it the electoral college way. And I guess that's the way he went.
We know that Ward is Ward, and he's been really good at what he does. I think of him as a combination of a well-trained bulldog and an anaconda. And he fought his fight, and in that atmosphere, he got the benefit of the doubt in all the close rounds, which is another definition of the hometown decision.
Were you surprised that main events had 3 USA judges, that they allowed that to happen, or that it wasn't, and even that with all the sanctioning bodies involved, that they didn't have a more international panel, a more balanced panel?
Yes, I think they dropped the ball or the glove on that one. I think Kathy Duva felt in some way that because Kovalev has fought so many fights in the U.S. And so on, that she didn't need to push that issue, or she couldn't get it through. I don't know. I mean, he did have the titles and should have been able to do that and have at least 2 of the 4 officials, including the referee, not from Las Vegas. And at the end of the day, they got their unjust due because of that.
Larry, do you have a problem with the 3 judges, in essence, making it a clean sweep for Andre Ward in the second half of the fight?
I sure do. I mean, as I said, how does even if you're doing better than you did before, which is certainly to his credit, it doesn't mean you're doing better enough to win all the rounds. particularly when most of them were so close. And, of course, one judge decided at the end to give Kovalev the last round just to bring his score a little closer, and we had the same score on all of the cards, 7-5 for Ward. Most of the folks that I knew had it 7-5 or even 8-4 for Kovalev, plus the extra point for the knockdown.
That's how I felt on the night. I felt it was 8-4 with the knockdown, but I wasn't scoring. I was drinking. What do you think of the chances are of the rematch happening next?
Well, I don't know if it happens next. There is a contract. Kathy Duba in main events have a history of trying to legally enforce contracts and being successful at it. That doesn't mean that if Ward doesn't want to go through that again and wants to take a warm-up fight, or as we used to call it, a setup, that Kathy Duba wouldn't be open to taking some kind of payoff for that, and that Kovalev himself might have another fight. I don't know the language of the contract, whether it means immediate rematch or not.
Larry, when something like this happens, and obviously you disagreed with the decision, does stuff like this still eat at you or disappoint you in any way?
Well, let's put it this way. It did not upgrade my my view of the world after the elections.
Well, you and Gabe Montoya, jeez.
Yeah. That's very funny. I actually had a great tweet that I'll share. I won't, or a text. I won't say who did send it to me. But he said, "So now I got to listen to Virgil and Trump. What the fuck?" Was pretty upset. Pardon the F-bomb, Larry. I'm curious, though. You're a bona fide newspaper man, and you've been a part of this game for a long time with that kind of lens. What do boxing media do in this situation? Do you look into these three guys and say, who are they communicating with? How did they get the job? Like, just follow that trail back to them being picked and then go from there? Do you think that the media has a responsibility?
Look, I think if somebody is of that mindset, he might be rewarded with some information that we don't know about. Customarily, we take it as part of the spectrum of possibility in the game, and you know what you're getting yourself into. But if somebody wants to do that kind of investigative reporting, I would applaud it. I assume that somehow Kathy Duba and her team must have known something about this, and maybe, for all we know, vetted some of these guys or disapproved of other candidates and got these guys. I guess you could start with her and find out, what she knew or didn't know about that, and that's a fair journalistic enterprise.
Larry, we know the negative effect that Pacquiao-Mayweather had on the sport. What do you think Saturday night does for it?
Well, I think that the vibe that I got from the media was they thought it was the fight that was expected plus a little bit more because of the knockdown, because of the emotion, and that presumably the controversy over the decision would help to feed a rematch, which I don't think that the fight itself, taken in a bubble, would do. It wasn't the kind of thing you said, "Boy, I want to see that again."
Mm-hmm.
But with all of the talk and all of the discussion we're having, that might help to promote the fight.
Gabe?
Yeah, if you're like a betting person or even just new to the sport, I don't see how this fight doesn't kind of damage your interest in it. How much longer? You've been there through the pay-per-view era, and you were there before it. Do you think this model is going to last much longer with things like this?
Well, in terms of the betting, the odds are virtually even in the legal bookmakers in Vegas 4 or 5 days before the fight, and then gradually went toward Ward, and then as all of his fans came in, it wound up 2-1 in favor of Ward. And so the money was right. They got paid off, those people. As far as the current economic model with competing promoters and all in the same kind of protective mode as many of the boxers, trying to protect their interests and not get hit by a surprise punch. I don't know how long. I think if people lose interest, and I think that it's foreseeable that some of the smaller promoters will go away because you need one big attraction to keep a company going, as well as young fighters coming up and other good television-worthy fighters. So maybe that's the hit bottom before it could make the different sense. I've been asked about the UFC model where there's one czar, and the czar tells you who the best guys are and who the best matches are, and no matter what happens, people know that they're going to get something. They're going to get something's going to happen, and and that's the way it is. What I think maybe if we had a referee who would have seized control and said to the fighters, "Hey, they came here to see a fight, not a grappling contest," which of course is part of the tactics of Ward. I don't know that he threw a real combination the whole night. One punch, fall into a clinch. One punch, step back, step around. That's his style. The only way to get fighters to fight in a more crowd-pleasing style, a style that moves and thrills people, is to punish those fighters when they don't, when they clinch too much, when they don't fight enough. Ward threw an average, I think, of 30 punches around. And that's maybe roughly half of what a Pacquiao throws, and it means he's expert at lowering the temperature of the fight. When I think to the long-term best interest of prize fighting, we want to see the temperature turned up.
Well, Larry, as you said long ago, one of your classic merchant isms, ain't nothing going to save it, ain't nothing going to kill it. Larry, last question before we let you go on with your Monday night. I didn't know you were actually going to the fight till I saw you on a video doing an interview near press row. When did you make the decision to just go as a fan and say, hey, I need to be here?
When the fight was hoving into view, I thought about it. I said, I'd like to get away for a weekend. I'd like to get back in the mix, and this is a fight I wanted to see and support. And I had a good time other than the result.
All right. Well, Larry, as always, we appreciate the time.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
All right,
and that
take
was
care.
the legend, Larry Merchant himself. At the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Jim Boone. Also, Michael Montero is going to join us in about 15 minutes. He was there ringside for various entities. Gabe, let's get to the Twitter timeline. Of course, we start with the president, Andrew V. Kennedy, with a very interesting question. Should the rematch take place, do you see Kovalev's anger towards the decision helping him, or will it ultimately hurt him?
He strikes me as a guy that uses his anger as good fuel. Fine. I think he'll know how to channel it and how to prepare. You know, I wanted to ask Larry. I didn't want to embarrass him, but can we get him back on HBO and leave him? Because it's just, or maybe like do a Periscope thing where he just like gives an alternate soundtrack or something. Because I'd much rather listen to him than a dude always trying to bring up, we know about history. Actually, nobody has called this fight Sugar Ray Leonard versus Tommy Hearns. Just calm down, Max.